A very warm welcome to NTV Sport on a day when the Cranes have taken the next flight back home after being ejected from the 2016 African Nations Championship here in Rwanda. Hi, I'm Joel Kamadi coming to you from Rubavu by the shores of Lake Kivu thanks to Uganda's #1 beer, Nile Special. Now, as you can see, this sleepy district is big on fishing. This market right behind me outputs fish that is applied to the rest of Rwanda. The Cranes, of course, came to this district fishing for their first appearance in the last 8 of the 16-nation tournament. They eventually pulled well short. Draws in the final round of fixtures in Group D, so Zambia topped the group with 7 points. Mali progressed as the second-placed side with 5 points, while Uganda finished third with 2 points. Let's take a look at highlights from yesterday's game.
By number 20, William, the 8th minute. By player number 14, Godfrey Selokuma, of the additional time of the end of today's match.
NTV Sports producer Robert Madoy and Daily Monitor sports reporter Andrew Mangusha have been following the Cranes throughout this championship. They assessed the team's performance.
Well, they say statistics don't bleed. That is exactly what Cranes coach Milton Mitchell Sudeovich would want to tell Cranes fans back home. Because if you look at the previous edition and the current edition, there is a yawning gap. And with me to look at that yawning gap is Daily Monitor's Andrew Mwangusha. And Andrew, if we may look at the championship, in 2014, Cranes managed to get 4 points. This championship, we have managed to just rake 2 points. But it's the goals, that I'm interested in. We've scored the same number of goals. But this championship, 2 of the 3 goals we've scored have come from set pieces. The last championship, all the 3 goals that we scored came from open play. What do you have to say about this?
I think there's a pure indication of stagnation in terms of CHAN. Actually, we just have to go back to 2011, our debut edition, where we scored just 1 goal. And then in South Africa, like you put it, scored 3, conceded 4. Same. We've scored 3, conceded 4. But the difference is, while we made a step forward in South Africa, we've now taken the 2 steps back. We didn't win a game. And like you said, 2 of the 3 goals were from set pieces. So there's question marks. Are we progressing or, taking 2 steps forward and then 4 backwards? So when you juxtapose the 2, it's clear that there's been kind of a stagnation. We came into this tournament with one primary target of getting into the quarterfinals. And just like the previous 2 editions, the story is just about the same. We're headed back after 3 group games.
Stagnation indeed. And the only goal that we managed to score from open play came yesterday in that 1-all draw against Zimbabwe. A young striker was involved in that goal, Idrissa Luvega. He's broken onto the scene. He plays in the big league for a second-tier team, that's Proline Academy. Scored 13 goals for Proline. Last year he scored 7 goals in the Masaza Cup to take the top scorer's boot. And Mitchell had this to say about him after yesterday's match.
And Uganda today, this evening, in 15 minutes of football, got a player that will be bright future of Ugandan football. His name is Luvega Idris, that has come second half, and I give him great credit because boy is playing in second tier in Uganda in big league, and he has come in and shown what is meaning player. He has helped to play on the big team.
And Andrew, if we may look at Farouk Mia, the captain of this team, you know, it's been a really young team, so it was a learning curve for most of the players. But the spotlight was on Farouk Mia. Of course, he got that injury in the opening game against Mali. But thereafter, you know, this swirl of speculation hovered above his head. And I don't know if you think, or if you reckon it affected him. Do you think it did affect him?
I don't think it did.
Because yesterday he missed 2 gilt-edged opportunities.
If anything that could have affected me, for me, is he was not ready for the game against Zimbabwe. Even against Zambia, the 1-0 defeat, he actually wanted to play. He beseeched Coach Mitchell to be played. But of course, it was a shoulder injury and you don't want to risk it. But he wanted it to be his final game here because the chances of progressing were actually out of the Cranes' hands. So it goes down mainly to whether Mia was fit for the game. And if you were watching the way he was approaching, for example, if there was anything that would end in a fall or something, he handled it with care. So he didn't express himself proper. And that is not the Mia we saw. He just wanted to play. The coach gave him a chance, but I don't think he was ready for the action and, you know, to go into challenges and to push like the real Mia who enforces play going into the final third. We didn't see that yesterday. Of course, the gilt-edged chances that he missed, that could happen, but a fully fit Mia would have buried those ones any day. Okay,
and we talked to Mia in the mixed zone area about the transfer speculation, whether it had a bearing on how he performed in yesterday's match, and listen to his 2 cents.
No, it's worrying about transfer because I came as players Chan because transfer. I didn't know about anything about transfer because even I just read on the media, I was this way because things are done at home. So between club and club because I wasn't involved with the player because I remember I was in the club. I came this way and I read as like other person can read on the internet. Then I just read it. I just wait and.
Going back to Cranes coach Milton Mitchell Srideovich, he of course made that bold decision to start with Mia. He actually had no striker in that side, no out-and-out striker. Mia was the one who was leading the line. He was asked a question during the post-match press conference whether he thinks his position is now untenable, whether he thinks he's the right man, to take Uganda to the next stage.
I think the way Mitchell responded to the question, that question as well, and as to whether Geoffrey Serunkuma should have got more playing time here. He ducked it in a way saying the experienced players have let him down and all. Of course, mainly he was referring to Robert Sentongo, who had a very dull first 2 games. But you have to question, really. If we came into this game, it was a must-win. And by winning, you need to score goals. Looking at that bench, there was no one better than Geoffrey Serunkuma. So for me, while the issue of Mia starting was questionable, but it's understandable because we did see them against Zambia clearly devoid of any leadership without Mia. So perhaps he thought some charisma could come with him on the day. But have one player that will go out to take away the chances. Now, if you cannot start Geoffrey Serunkuma on a day when you need goals, I don't know why. Because there's been that case of him using many defenders. Like yesterday started with 6. I understand when he says if you deploy, for example, Kezron Kizito and Zamir Muchiaba, that could be a highway of sorts. But if you really want to play a solid midfield, then have one striker who you'll be sure, if given chance, he will take it away.
Competition is very much reflection is very much a reflection of the inter-club competitions. This is why you are seeing the teams that they have progressed in, except Rwanda home team, that they are having huge representatives in the group stages of the inter-club competitions of Africa, and this is exactly a reflection. If we are qualifying with the clubs to the group stages, even here demand would be the same. But here we are trying to jump over the hurdle that is at present unfortunately higher than we could do.
That's all we could manage to squeeze in today. It's goodbye to this lovely district in the western province of Rwanda. Our next stop is the capital Kigali, where we shall watch and bring you analysis from the knockout stage courtesy of Nile Special. Have a good night.